Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with some more Space Marine goodness. Me, along with I'd say about 90% of our community, have been enjoying Space Marine 2 over the last couple of weeks. I have thoroughly enjoyed the entire campaign, but there is a specific moment in the campaign which has inspired this video, and this has always been one of my favorite characters ever since, I don't know, as soon as I got into the hobby. He always stood out on the shelves of the Games Workshop stores as being quite an epic piece. And now in this video, I'm going to be painting up his new modernized Primaris version. And that of course is Marneus Augustus Calgar. He is an awesome piece. I'm going to be painting up his bodyguards. I actually started painting his bodyguards on my Twitch stream on Tuesday, and today, of recording this video, Thursday, I'm going to be hopefully finishing them off as well. So the bodyguards will be done on my stream, but Marneus Calgar himself will be done in this video. Before I get into painting up the awesome character that is, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons and all of my channel members out there. Without you guys, I could not continue doing what I'm doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. As a thank you to you guys, I'm going to be doing custom videos every single week just for you guys. The one I did this week was from the new plastic Vespid in Kill Team, so they are available to all you guys as of last Monday. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying that video. Okay, if you want to become a channel member or become a member of the Patreon, it's linked down below. Let's get into painting Calgar now. And here he is, the man of the hour, Marneus Augustus Calgar, an absolutely stellar example of a model created and reforged into a Primaris Marine. I know that's a touchy subject for some people, but everyone they've done so far has made the model better, so I'm not really upset about it. And the only thing I'm upset about is the fact that I didn't put on his unhelmeted head. I think when I built this guy, I think I built him when he came out, which was a good few years ago now, I wasn't as comfortable with skin as I am right now. And now I just really want that traditional Calgar look, so I'm kicking myself and hoping I can find his head somewhere around here and get it painted up and stuck on. The head that's on him now is just held in via the peg. So if I do find his other head, I can jimmy this one out and get his proper one in. So that's what I'm going to try and do. The model was sprayed Chaos Black and then get an overcoat of a light grey spray. Grey Seer worked perfectly. I then grabbed Ultramarines Blue Contrast, which is how I start all of my Ultramarines, which I suppose makes sense. And I started to very carefully paint in all of the armor panels on this beast of a model, being careful to avoid any kind of pooling. I mean, recesses and stuff like that's not really where you want it to do it. Now, we will be layering up this model, so if a little bit of pooling happens or a little bit of streakiness or anything like that, it is totally fine. We'll do all the fixing we need to later on in this project. Now, I can understand from a lot of people that Marneus Calgar can be quite an intimidating miniature. He seems quite heavily detailed. He's got a lot going on for him, and that can scare a lot of people away from actually painting him up. So hopefully this video will kind of alleviate those fears. Literally by the end of this video, you should be able to paint him up with no problems whatsoever. I don't think there's a single difficult stage. I haven't done any fancy techniques or anything weird. It's just straight up painting. Gore Grunt of Fur was used for these tassely bits there. I don't know what they're called. On the front of them. Then we move over to Black Templar. Black Templars for all the gaps in the armor plates, all the soft seals between all of his slabs of armor. And then of course things like the vents on his backpack. Any other bits that, you know, should be kind of blacked in. You could find his power fists have kind of soft bits in the palms. Make sure you get in there. And stuff like that. Nothing kind of spectacular, just all those weird extra little bits that you're just going to use to break up the blue. I also did the soft cabling on his power fists in that as well. There's two cables that run from his power fist to his backpack. And there's one that's definitely metallic and the other one which is soft. I think on the actual Envy Metal Studio one they painted up, it's like chevron striped all the way up. I'm not doing that, so it got black. Then we moved over to Flesh Tears Red. Now, the Flesh Tears Red is going to be used for, obviously, all of the red areas. So the nice tassel that runs across his chest and his huge, big flowing cape, all going to go red. But what I'm also going to do while I have the Flesh Tears on my palette is every single section of this miniature that's going to get gold is going to get a base coat of Flesh Tears Red. Gold over white is going to be so kind of pale and dead looking. To give it a little bit of warmth is a great idea to add some like gold or rich brown or something underneath it. But because I've got red, like I said, I'm working with it already. That's what I'm going to use. I've used red under my gold for many years now, and I think it makes it look great. So take your time, go through the entire miniature, base coating in all of the bits that are supposed to be red, and then all the gold. And like I said, take your time. The reason I say take your time is there's quite a lot of gold bits on this guy. Some of them are kind of hidden or tucked away, and He's in a very kind of crazy, dynamic, superhero style pose. So yeah, just pay attention, try and find all those different places. And this will cover quite a lot of the rest of the model in paint. So be careful not to hit any of the blue or anything like that. But like I said, we didn't layer the blue yet. So if you do make a mistake, it's no big deal. Everybody relax. We're here to paint a cool Ultramarines character. I'm kind of dubious to say why this guy inspired me in the Space Marine 2 game, because that moment, because it did not get spoiled for me when I was playing it. I literally got to walk into the scene and then it happened. And I don't want to spoil that for anybody else. So, but obviously by painting up, you know that he does make an appearance in the game, and I'm sorry if that spoils something for some people. But I promise you, when he does show up, it's just one of the coolest bits of the game. Made me love this character even more, and has inspired me to go ahead and start painting. So I guess that's good, right? Okay, Retributor Armor Gold was then my color of choice, and as you can see, I'm painting over those red sections, and it goes over those red sections like a dream and gives you a beautiful base coat for all of your golds. This is, of course, once again, a kind of slow stage. Not crazy slow, but it is probably the most time consuming, the second most time consuming part of painting this guy is base coating in all the gold. The layering section on the blue is the bit that takes the longest, because you want to be careful and get as kind of straight and neat lines as possible. Which of course I think it took about half an hour, 40 minutes for me to do on the whole armor, but we'll get to that bit in a minute. Once the gold is all in place though, you've got that blue, you've got that red, you've got that gold, the model starts to look really slick. Definitely giving me those Ultramarine Strength and Honor style feel to it. I'm very happy. Lead Belcher was then brought in for all of the bits that need to be metallic that aren't gold. So the rest of the parts of his bolt gauntlets, obviously all of the tubing and stuff, ammo feeds and ammo hoppers built into his backpack, and any other bits like that you can find on the miniature that need to be silver. Like I said, it's Calgar, chapter master of the Ultramarines, so anything that should be metallic on his armor is probably going to be gold, so you don't have to do a lot of silver work. But yeah, like I said, take your time, make sure you don't miss any bits and pieces. We're nearing very close to the stage where we're going to start shading the model down, and obviously it's hard to go back and like cover something up that you've missed before, so yeah. Nuln Oil is my color of choice to go over this particular scheme of Ultramarines. It gives it quite a dark look. It's a perfect place to start layering from, to really building up that kind of Ultramarines blue armor color, which I kind of have my own kind of touch of. I don't particularly like the kind of sky blue, like baby blue style armor that the traditional Ultramarines use. I go on a slightly different tone. Now, when it's fully painted, I still 100% believe from the bottom of my heart that it looks like an Ultramarine. And I would love everybody who's watching this video to either, reassess. So at the end of this video, comment whether you think the armor looks like Ultramarines armor or whether the tone is all wrong. Because I think it's definitely a different tone, but as soon as you look at it, it feels like an Ultramarine. So I'm very happy with it. Don't worry if you're going to hurt my feelings. Just let me know. I just want to know if I'm kind of delirious. So I have been working on the champions, or the Victrix Guard miniatures, which of course protect Guilliman. They've been being painted up on my Twitch stream, so I got them base coated and washed on Tuesday's stream, on Thursday's stream, which will have happened yesterday by the time you're watching this video. They will be layered up and stuff like that, so I'm painting them alongside, so the whole kind of trio will be done around the same time, which I think is a lot of fun. And they're also beautiful models, and I hope at some stage we do get like a 10-man squad of Victrix Guard with a new Sicarius model. That would make me very happy. So Kaldor Sky is my color of choice to layer my Ultramarines army. Like I said, it's a little bit darker, a little bit kind of richer. And I love it. And because it's a base paint, it covers really, really well over the contrasted and shaded blue that you've done already. Only on really kind of big flat areas you might need a second coat to cover up any brush streaks. As I'm painting it, I'm being really careful to leave that dark shaded contrast paint in the recesses or around the edges, or that kind of idea. The flatter areas get the coat, the rest kind of gets left that dark. It separates the armor panels, it kind of gives it that three-dimensional feel. It stops it feeling like a toy and more like a miniature, if that makes sense to you guys. And like I said, I use a fine pointed brush and I take my time. This is the bit that I was talking about, which took maybe 30-40 minutes of just sitting here very meticulously, very carefully going around and layering it up. And I think, like I said before, chapter master of the Ultramarines, I think he deserves 30-40 minutes of your time to layer it up. So once we have all of the blue armor layered up, this is what he should look like. Does he look like Papa Smurf now? His affectionate nickname. I think so. I think he's looking well. I'm quite happy with the color. I could probably do with a bit of weathering, give him a couple of bit of some chipping and some weathering. Maybe that's something I'll do in the near future, because I do like my Space Marines to be a little bit less pristine. They are, of course, angels of death, dropped into the fiercest fighting on every battlefield they ever attend. And they get, you know, hails of small arms fire patter off their armored plate, but of course everything gets chipped and scratched and stuff, so I like that look. Mornfang Brown was then brought in to very carefully layer up just some scratchy highlights on the brown leather tassel-y thingies that go in front of them. You can also feel free to tell me what those things are called again, I've forgotten. A very Ultramarine-esque style thing, very kind of Roman-esque, I love it. From here, we are going to go for a 2-stage highlight. Mephiston red and then Evil Sun Scarlet on all of the red areas. So obviously we go with the direction that the knots are going, or the rope twine bits are going. I don't know how to say that. And then highlight each of those sections very carefully. And make sure you leave enough space to highlight again. Obviously we want to jump this up again. So if you make those lines really, really thin, it's going to be really difficult to put another highlight in. So don't be afraid to make them a little bit thicker. And then we're on to the cape, which can be a lot of people's Achilles heel. It is difficult to highlight a cape. I understand and respect that. I think people, when they're painting it, they focus on the like tiny little bit they're painting as they're painting it, and that scares them off a little bit. But when you've kind of done the entire cape and you kind of take a step back almost and look at it as one piece, I think a lot of people will be much happier. So follow it through, paint the highest areas of the folds and leave all the recesses nice and dark. It's a very simple thing. When you get to big flat areas, try and do some scratchy highlights. You're trying to add a little bit of texture to it. It's not an armored plate. It's not supposed to be this flat color yellow. So I like, you know, picking one direction, as obviously the cape is swooshing down. So as you can see, I'm just pulling the brush down in the direction that the cape is going. If you go side to side here, it'll look weird, or you know what I mean? Or if you change directions from one fold to another, it's gonna look weird. Don't do that. And then, like I said, when we jump up to Evil Sun Scarlet, we're basically doing exactly the same stage again, but just less, just tiny little highlights to make the red on his chest pop, and then to make the cape kind of stand out a little bit more. With the red, the Evil Sun Scarlet on his cape, we are going for much more of those just very light, scratchy highlights, trying to add texture to the piece. We've already gotten a solid coat of red with the previous color, so I don't need to worry too much about that. So you can see my brush movements here. It's very much trying to add those little kind of micro scratchy highlights across it to add that kind of texture in. So happy to be finally getting this guy painted. I definitely think a small Ultramarines force, because I think I've got like 4 or 5 of the characters painted up. You know, Gullum is painted up, Calgar is painted up, Messinius is painted up, Titus is painted up. So I definitely think I should have a couple of squads of troops to go alongside these awesome characters. Have them join in with some of my other legions maybe. If it's not an entire force, maybe a small one will be just what the doctor ordered. Obviously I finished off dry brushing the base, getting it rimmed as well. So obviously Martian is the scheme that I go for pretty much all of my Space Marines, for that exact reason. If I want to play them together, all their bases will match. Liberator Gold was then brought in to highlight, well, guess what? All the gold bits. So a couple of touch highlights, all the sharpest points along the edges and stuff like that. Really does help to make the gold stand out. This is rich kind of ornamentation gold. It's, like I said, it's a chapter master wearing a very special suit of armor. So he gets to have some extra work put in. The artificers really do like to make the chapter master look snazzy on the battlefield, and he felt like that in Space Marines. I'm going to continue on with that. So yeah, follow along, all the gold. Just like we did with the blue, the highest points, make sure the recesses stay nice and dark. Shaded Retributor is fine for all that. Celestra Grey is what I use to highlight all the Ultramarine U's that you see around the miniature. When I was base coating this miniature, I just left all the U's blank. So they were the same kind of base coat we did where we sprayed it black and sprayed it grey here, that light grey color. That was the base coat for all the U's for me. So we didn't need to paint anything on top of it. Just be careful not to hit it. And then obviously we go around with this Celestra Grey and do a light highlight to make those bits pop out. Celestra Grey is kind of like, it's a light grey, but when it's not next to any white, it just comes across as white, but it's got great coverage. So I prefer it to using white for pretty much all my paint jobs. So he's got a big U on his top of his head, or his top of his shoulder panels. He's got a big U on each fist. His belt buckle is basically a big U, and that's about it really. So, oh, and his shoulder pad, don't forget that. Kind of an Ultramarine without a big U on his shoulder pad. So these are some of the final details coming to fruition now. We are nearly coming to the end of getting this awesome piece painted up. There's not many Primera Space Marine characters that I haven't painted now. I have quite a nice collection of them. I enjoy painting them up. I must actually do like a census or an inventory on what I've got left and try and get my hands on them and get them done. I don't think there'd be as many as I think. Corvus Black used to highlight the black areas. The gun casing, obviously in between the armor seals, will just leave as is. They're base coated with the contrast, and then they got null and oil, so they look great. So it's literally just the casings that I re-highlighted. Morghast bone and Ushapti bone are what's going to be used to highlight the purity seals on the front of his armor. Now, with these purity seals, I did record the footage of me base coating them. I used skeleton horde contrast on those areas before I shaded them, but they was completely out of focus and awful, so I do apologize for that. So when you're in the base coat stage, skeleton horde, the purity seals, and then Morghast bone and Ushapti bone to highlight them and make them pop. It's basically the same recipe I use for all purity seals. Once again, that kind of thing I really like. So if I do run a bunch of Space Marine armies together, certain things should be the same. Everyone's purity shields should kind of look the same. So their basing all looks the same. So it will look like a cohesive force, like just a couple of chapters have gotten together to, you know, face down a particularly nasty foe. I really like that. It's kind of cool. Ironbreaker was then brought in to highlight the silver components, obviously the hoppers of his gauntlets, the power packs for his fists, and any other silver bits you can find. Obviously the bolters themselves that aren't the black casing, the actual mechanism of the bolter, will all get a little highlight of silver to make it stand out. When this highlight is complete, that is the end of the painting for me. There's of course a couple other bits that I did. So things like I painted his eye lenses and his bionic eye in red. That's about all I actually did off camera, to be honest with you. Everything else is included in the video. And once you do take your time and you get those nice highlights done on the silver, like I said, this is the final bit, so I would love to know what you guys think. Does he read immediately as just a glorious son of Ultramar, as an Ultramarine, as Marneus Calgar? I say yes. I look at him and think that immediately. I don't think, oh, this is the wrong tone. But it's definitely my unique tone, and a bunch of people have watched some of my videos before and they really like this color and have copied it to do their own Space Marine Ultramarine army, so I'm happy enough with it. Here's a couple of still images to give you guys an idea of what he will look like on the tabletop. I hope you guys enjoyed it, learned something new, and I hope you're enjoying Space Marine 2. Okay guys, and here we have it, my finished Marneus Calgar. The only thing that I wish I had was his unhelmeted head. I built this guy when he first came out, and unfortunately he just kind of got put away until today. So I'm glad to finally have him painted, but I wish I'd gone for the traditional unhelmeted head now. This head actually isn't glued in, so if I do somehow manage to find his unhelmeted head somewhere, I will be painting it up and replacing this, because I think I prefer it. It's more iconic of Calgar. If you guys want to pick up your own Calgar, I do have links to things like Element Games down in the description below. You can check it out there, order from yourself, get a nice little discount, and of course I'll get a little kickback. So if there's ever any Games Workshop, Hobby, or any other products that you want to buy and you live in England, Element Games I think is the best place for you to go. Like I said, using my link will help out the channel a little bit. Alright guys, thank you so much for listening to the very end of this video. If you wouldn't be so kind as to make sure you like, comment and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.